Good morning, everyone. The Subcommittee on Indian and Insular Affairs will come to order. Without objection, the Chair is authorized to declare recess of the Subcommittee at any time. The Subcommittee is meeting today to hear testimony on 3 bills that are before us. Under Committee Rule 4F, any oral opening statements at hearings are limited to the Chairman and to the ranking minority member. I therefore ask unanimous consent that all other members' opening statements be made part of the hearing record if they are submitted in accordance with Committee Rule 3.0. Without objection, so ordered. I ask unanimous consent that the gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Cole, the gentleman from New York, Mr. Langworthy, the gentleman from New Mexico, Ms. Stansbury, and the gentleman from New York, Mr. Kennedy, be allowed to sit and participate in today's hearing. Without objection, so ordered. I will now recognize myself for a brief opening statement. Good morning again, everyone. Thank you to our witnesses for being here today as we consider 3 important bills to Indian country. H.R. 2827, sponsored by Congressman Cole of Oklahoma, addresses longstanding treaty-based land claims involving property in Illinois and establishes a structured legal pathway to resolve those claims. For years, questions surrounding historic treaty language and land cessions have created uncertainty for both private landowners and the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma. H.R. 2827 establishes a clear, final, and time-limited process for those claims to be heard on the merits in federal court, ultimately ensuring that current Illinois landowners have clear title to their property. By balancing the opportunity for judicial review with protections for existing property rights, this bill seeks to bring long-standing and long overdue resolution for both the tribe and current landowners. Our second bill this morning is H.R. 6162, the Albuquerque Indian School Act of 2025, sponsored by Congresswoman Stansbury of New Mexico. This bill transfers 9.89 acres of land from the General Services Administration into trust for the 19 pueblos of New Mexico. This land was previously part of the Albuquerque Indian School and holds cultural and historical significance to the 19 pueblos. The final bill on our agenda this morning is H.R. 7065, the Seneca Nation Law Enforcement Efficiency Act, sponsored by Congressman Langworthy of New York. This bill allows the Seneca Nation, upon written agreement with the United States Attorney General, to be exempt from a 1948 law that gave criminal jurisdiction over all Indian tribes in the state of New York to the state of New York. The Seneca Nation has reported an increase in drug trafficking through and around their reservation, resulting in higher crime rates. In this context, the jurisdictional structure established by the 1948 law has presented enforcement challenges that criminals have unfortunately exploited. Accordingly, the Seneca Nation is pursuing a mechanism to clarify and strengthen criminal jurisdiction for the nation in coordination with the federal government. I want to thank each of our witnesses for being with us here today to discuss legislation that is important to their communities and their tribes, and I look forward to a productive hearing. At this point, the chair would now recognize the ranking minority member for any statement. Ms. Ledger-Fernandez.
Thank you so much, Chairman, and thank you for that summary of the good work that we are hopefully able to do today. When I talk about the work of this subcommittee, it is always amazing how broad our jurisdiction is on the issues we face. Like today, we will go from law enforcement to tribal sovereignty to economic development and cultural preservation in just 3 bills. And each of those bills contains each of those issues within them. And so the bill to resolve the long-standing land claim for the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma that would place that would place the land into trust for the 19 pueblos in my home state of Nuevo Mexico, and the bill to clarify law enforcement jurisdiction for the Seneca Nation. And as I said earlier, while each are distinct, they all contain each of those elements, which is what this subcommittee is supposed to be about. Now, on H.R. 2827, I think I first learned about this issue from Chief Langford, my first term in Congress. And it's been an issue that has been years in the making, and I'm glad that Chairman Cole is leading this bill to address the 1805 Treaty of Grossland, which the United States failed to uphold. So then the tribe is, well, what do we do with this broken treaty? And what the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma has decided it wants to do is to seek justice and bring certainty to the private landowners by allowing the tribe to bring their claims before the United States Court of Federal Claims and then extinguishing their land claims in Oklahoma. Tribes have had to deal with decisions that too often were made for them or without them. But tribes know best what's in their best interest, and I appreciate the work that's been put into this legislation by Chairman Cole and the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma, because sovereignty must mean that you get to choose what you think is the best path forward, and that's what this bill essentially does. The Seneca Nation Law Enforcement Efficiency Act is straightforward. Let's clarify law enforcement jurisdiction on Seneca Nation lands. It is surprising to me, as somebody who came out of working on law enforcement issues, working on the jurisdictional things, that the Native American tribes in New York don't have basic law enforcement jurisdiction over their land. How can you expect a tribe to provide for the safety of their community and to ensure that the federal government does their job on law enforcement if they don't have that basic jurisdiction, which we all understand is one of the key aspects of sovereignty, the ability to keep the people in your community safe. And finally, H.R. 6162, the Albuquerque Indian School Act, introduced by my New Mexico hermana, Representative Stansbury, who's been an incredible champion for the Indian Pueblos of New Mexico. This would place an additional 9.89 acres of surplus federal land into trust for the benefit of the 19 Indian Pueblos. The land was once the site of the former Albuquerque Indian School. And as you can imagine, as a former Indian school, there are many sad stories that are part of that history. But what the Indian Pueblos of New Mexico has done is take that land and turn it into something vibrant, culturally strong. They even have a school there now, and they have economic development that benefits all of the 19 Pueblos of New Mexico. And I am very proud, because if you haven't been to the center, you should go. It's one of the best places in the city, was recently named #1 in the American Indigenous Tourism Association's top 10 experiences of 2026. And it has been, in many years, the second most visited site in New Mexico, which is a highly visited state because we have so many great things. I am proud to say that I was, and maybe it's a disclaimer, I was their attorney for many, many years and decades, and looking forward to listening to my good friend provide the testimony of why it is important that we make this land transfer. It's about economic development. It's about cultural preservation. It's about giving those 19 Pueblos some more tools to continue their good work in reclaiming the history of that land. And Mr. Chair, I think you should come out to Albuquerque to see that cultural center and all the wonderful places and work of the nations, tribes, and Pueblos in New Mexico. And with that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields, and I would be happy to do that at some point. The chair would now recognize the ranking member of the full House Committee on Natural Resources, the gentleman from California, Mr. Huffman, for his opening statement. Mr. Huffman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have at the top here a request for unanimous consent. It is to enter into the record 2 letters. One is from the Ho-Chunk Nation of Wisconsin, another from a former Department of Justice attorney. These letters raise some concerns about H.R. 2827, and I enter them into the record as a courtesy to these folks who have written them and hope that the letters can provide some additional context for the discussion here today and give Mr. Cole from Oklahoma and the Miami Tribe an opportunity to understand these concerns and perhaps work with those parties.
Without objection.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thanks to our witnesses for traveling to D.C. to be here with us today. We will examine 3 bills today addressing long-standing issues across Indian country related to land settlements, taking land into trust, and jurisdictional issues. These bills reflect different aspects of our federal government's trust and treaty obligations, as the ranking member mentioned. The first bill H.R. 2827, would create a path towards resolving a longstanding land dispute in Illinois. In 1805, the U.S. signed a treaty with the Miami tribe of Oklahoma, as well as the Eel tribe and the Wea tribe. These treaties affirmed the lands south of the Great Lakes and the Wabash River watershed, that they had not been ceded without the consent of all three tribes. But the United States violated this treaty, as we have done in so many instances, by placing these lands into the public domain and transferring parcels without consent of all the tribes. This bill would extinguish the Miami tribe of Oklahoma's claim to 2.6 million acres of land in Illinois, while providing a one-year window for the tribe to bring its case before the U.S. Federal Court of Claims. And this would allow the tribe to pursue monetary compensation for lands transferred and sold in violation of the treaty, and help resolve and bring some clarity to these claims. The next bill is the Albuquerque Indian School Act from Representative Stansbury. They would transfer 9.89 acres of surplus land from the original Albuquerque Indian School into trust for the benefit of 19 pueblos in New Mexico. This bill builds on prior efforts to return culturally significant lands and support the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. The center serves as a gathering place and promotes cultural preservation, education, and economic opportunities. So transferring the land to the pueblos will only support the center's work to welcome tourists and community members, while promoting local Native artists, businesses, and communities. A good bill that I strongly support. Finally, we will consider H.R. 7065, the Seneca Nation Law Enforcement Efficiency Act. And this would clarify law enforcement jurisdiction and strengthen tribal authority on Seneca lands in New York. Since the passage of the act back in 1948, it granted the state of New York certain jurisdiction over Seneca Nation lands. Jurisdictional complexity has created enforcement challenges, and I am interested in learning more from the nation, working with Representative Kennedy, and doing what we can to improve public safety issues that have been created under this framework. Each of these bills reflects the breadth and importance of the issues before this subcommittee, and I look forward to hearing more from our witnesses on how today's agenda can help address historic wrongs, support tribal sovereignty, and promote the well-being of these communities. Thanks, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields. At this time, the chair would recognize the gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Cole, for 5 minutes to speak on his legislation, H.R. 2827. Mr. Cole, you're recognized.